Hello everyone, I'm Major Dominick, and today we're going to talk about the art of argument, the art of changing someone's mind. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be nice to actually have a conversation at a dinner table without ruining a friendship or a family relationship on a heated topic, and you can actually get your point across to the point that they might actually change their mind? Well, there actually is a method to this, and that method was created by Socrates and written down by his greatest pupil, Plato. This is, of course, the Socratic method, as I define it as the art of argument in a way to change someone's mind without ruining a friendship or relationship. Great. So, what is the Socratic method? Well, the Socratic method was created during the Enlightenment period by probably our greatest philosopher, Socrates. It was later written down by his greatest pupil, Plato, and it's still used today. University lecturers, professors use it all the time. A lot of political podcasters that you see, like, those YouTube videos where you say, blank owns this person. It's because they're probably using the Socratic method. So, now why is this important? Well, the Socratic method is important if you actually want to have fruitful conversations with someone without ruining a relationship, as I've said multiple times in this video already. I use it all the time, especially since I learned it, because I normally have different points of views than other people. I use this method all the time without ruining my friendships. And also, I've proven multiple points to the point of actually winning some debates because of it. Now, it is important to know that the Socratic method is not a debate. It is simply a way to conversate, a way to have a conversation with someone. And I break that down into 7 steps. Well, I know, 7 steps. That's a lot to remember, I bet. But there's going to be a handout attached to this email in this lesson as well that will break down the 7 steps with point form explanations for what it is and how to use it. I'll also be assigning some homework at the end of this video if you choose to do it. That there'll be a handout sheet with the 7 points in boxes, and then you're going to watch a video link that I send, and you're going to write down the points, the times when this was used, and the point that they used. Great. So, now you might be asking, this sounds great, but what are your 7 steps, Andrew? And that's very important to know. These are my 7 steps. This is not a universally used way of the Socratic method. This is how I interpret it, and this is how I use it in my daily life. So, the 7 steps are as follows. You have the topic, the definition, the explanation, the understanding, the questioning, the proving, and the revival, the revisit. So, let's go for each of those steps now. Step 1, the topic. The topic is, I would say, the most important part of any conversation. You want to know what topic you're talking about. You want to stay in that realm. You want to stay in the circle of that topic. So you can choose, and I wouldn't recommend it, a big topic. You can choose a huge topic like abortion. It's very heated conversation, and it's normally how a lot of people use the Socratic method, which also comes up a lot, especially in today's news. So instead of talking about abortion, you can talk about when does a life start? And that's a much better conversation to have. When does a life start? And say if you agree to this method. So you agree to this topic specifically. Okay, when does a life start? That goes into number 2, is the definition. What are you defining as a life? So let's go back. So topic 1 is what is your topic. Step 2 is the definition. I recommend probably going to a place like Webster's Dictionary to specifically find your definition, or you can agree to a definition between the two of you. Now, this step is extremely important as well, because if you do not have a consensus of what your definition is of your topic, then you can be arguing about apples and oranges and say which one is the better pair, right? It's an over-exaggeration, but essentially what happens. So we want to make sure that you both have a clear definition of what you're talking about. This leads into step 3. Step 3 is your explanation. So you want to let the other person explain their side, what their point of view is. Then you're going to define your side and what your point of view is. Now, you cannot interrupt this person because that would be rude and that can start arguments right away. So you want to let that person finish. You want to let that person get out everything they have to say about their point of view. Listen carefully to it though. And then they should do the same in return. You explain your point of view, which leads into step number 4. Step number 4, of course, is the understanding. So they can explain their point of view, you explain yours, but you don't know if they actually understand where you're coming from. You don't know if they actually understand your point of view. So what you're going to take from this is I recommend this phrase. So what you're saying is, and then you repeat what you think their point of view is. This allows them to be like, oh, no. So what I actually meant was this. Then you go back again. Okay, so what you were saying is this. And then once you understand both sides, you want to make sure that both sides have a clear understanding of your point of view. You go into step 5. But let's review what we have so far. So we have our topic. And the topic, of course, is what you're talking about. Be specific with it. Step number 2 is your definition. Make sure you have a clear definition of both you understand. Step number 3, the explanation. You want to let both sides explain their side. Step number 4, the understanding. You want to make sure you understand what your other person is saying, and vice versa. This leads to step number 5. Now, this is where the art of the Socratic method comes in. This is the crux, the juice of it. You want to ask leading questions to prove your point. So you don't want to say, no, you're wrong because of this. The art is swinging the words around on them. So instead of asking them questions, you want to ask them leading questions that end with the sentence with the word yes. You want to make sure every question that you ask ends with yes, because then they're starting to agree. They're starting to agree to what you're saying. So you want to bring the glue of it all the way around. It'll make sure that you want to have a clear platform before you go into step number 6. So you want them to agree to other points that relate to your point. That's on your point of view. Now, you don't know if they're using the Socratic method as well. So this is an art that you must learn. So you must learn how to ask these questions to prove your point. If I had more time, I'd go into more detail about it. But let's go into step number 6. So once you guys have enough leading questions that back up your point, they're already agreeing to pretty much what you say. This is when you just bring it to the forefront. So step number 6 is the proving. You want to say, okay, well, if you agree that this and this and this and this, then that means my point must be correct. Now, if they still say no, right, then you pretty much have to leave the conversation there, because you know these people won't move. They won't change their mind. Even if you prove their point on them, if they want to stay where they are, you can't go any further with it. You tried your best. And you don't want to go any further in this method, or else you might ruin the friendship or your relationship with this person. So again, you want to have, and there's actually a couple ways to tell. Before I continue on, there's a couple ways to tell. So say if we're going back to the first topic, when does life start? If you believe that life starts at conception, and they believe that you can abort all the way up to when the child's out of the womb on their due date, you know you're not going to gain anything, and you can sort of just stop talking about this topic with them right away. There's no change in their mind if someone is so far out on that. So that's sort of, you want to know your battlefield. Like, you don't want to go into futile conversations. You know you won't win. Or you know you won't come to a mutual understanding. Even a mutual agreement is great to have at the end of this, regardless. So step number 6 is the proving. You brought the point on them. You proved your point by them agreeing to it in other ways. Which leads to step number 7, and this can be very quick. This is the revival. So you essentially just talk about your newfound understanding of each other's sides. Because they were asking you questions in the exact same way if they're using the Socratic method as well. So there you go. Those are your 7 steps. You have the topic, the definition, the explanation, the understanding, the questioning, the proving, and the revival. Great, I'm looking at my clock right now. It says 10 minutes. I didn't want to make this any longer than 10 minutes. So please take a look at the sheets that I attached to this document and a link to the YouTube video if you choose to continue learning this method. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email and I'll respond at my earliest convenience. Thank you, everyone. You have just learned the Socratic method. Have a great day.